So assuming that you're all happy for this session to be recorded, I think you all knew that the sessions were going to be recorded before you came on, because obviously some people can't make it live this evening or might not be able to make it live every night this week. And the other thing is you will have access to these recordings to play back again. And very often there might be a little bit that you didn't quite get down, or you remember something that was said, you think actually it'd be really useful to hear that again. And also, I don't mind if you feel you wanted to share this with any of your team members or anything that, you know, any bits that you really thought were useful, then obviously that's up to you if you wanted to share it like that. So before we get going, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So first of all, my name's Celia. Celia Gadd. I know there's some people in here that I haven't yet met. So thank you very much for joining us this evening, and thank yourselves for making an investment, you know, time and money in yourself, which is absolutely brilliant, because that's the one thing I think as human beings we tend not to do, is invest in ourselves. We're very good at helping other people, we're very good at doing the do, but very often we are the thing that's put on the back burner. So just a few housekeeping things before we dive in properly. It will be the same Zoom link each evening, okay, at 7 o'clock. So now you're in. There's someone in the waiting room, Lorraine, Joe, thank you. And now you're in. That means you know where to go each evening. So it'll be 7 o'clock for the next 2 evenings in here. The sessions depends a little bit on how many questions and things at the end. I try and keep it to an hour. It might be 40 minutes to an hour until I've gone through the slides and the training. This is the first time I've done this training exactly like this. All right. So you are sort of guinea pigs on it. I've delivered all the different modules in different ways, but actually as a training like this, so I'm never 100% sure how long each session is going to take, but I'm usually pretty good at gauging it between about 40 minutes and an hour, depending on questions. There is a task that will go into the Facebook group. It actually is scheduled to drop into the Facebook group at about 7:30. Oh, Bentley's here now. So that's scheduled to drop into the group about 7:30 this evening. So when you come off the call, there is a post in the Facebook group with a little task in. Now, some of it's a bit similar to the things we're going to cover on the group. There might be a few different things, but it would be lovely if you could spend the time through this week just to comment on that thread and just to get your thoughts and stuff into that task, because we've got this opportunity of you lovely folk in this group for a week where you can really help each other out as well. And particularly with goal setting, I'm going to come on to the purpose of the course in a minute, but when you're sort of setting goals or thinking about things in different areas of your life, I know over the years that very often I've heard what someone else wants to do, and I think that's a really good, I'd love to do that, you know, that's a good idea. And by sharing things, you can often help each other. I do want to say, and I hope that you all agree with me, that it is a very safe space, this group and this Facebook group. There is going to be no judgment, you know, and anything like that. So, you know, if there's stuff that you feel is a bit vulnerable, stuff about your limiting beliefs or anything like that, you know, I would like to say that we're all here supporting and cheering each other on. We're all each other's cheerleaders, and it is a safe place to be able to do that if there's stuff that you want to share. The recordings will go into the group at least by tomorrow morning. I may get it converted tonight. And you've also in the Facebook group are the workbooks for each session. So if you're not in the group yet, you won't have seen the workbook. Doesn't really matter. They're not anything terribly fancy. You can certainly do the tasks just on pen and paper, but you might want to print them off and go back through it afterwards. I quite like it, just having the workbooks there, particularly when we come into the goals that you're writing down, because it's a really good reference point just to have them somewhere like that you can go back and review whenever you want to. So I've got a couple of disclaimers for you about this week. The first one being that absolutely nothing I tell you over the next 3 days is going to make the slightest bit of difference in your life at all, unless you make a decision and do something with it. All right. So I haven't got a magic wand. I have got years of experience of making things happen, and I have got some pretty good tips and ideas, and I've got some good stuff to share with you. I haven't got a magic wand. All right. So if you want to change things, you need to change things. And that is down to you. But I am here to help and support and give you lots of ideas. And also, this is not just a goal setting course. So what I mean by that is this is about changing the way you look at your life. And I know that that is a very, very strong thing for me to say, but I honestly believe that that is true. This is not just about saying, I'm going to get, I don't know, 10 more pounds in my business next month, or I'm going to get 3 more customers. This is about deciding if you really are ready to take your life and business to a different level. And I would suggest that you probably are, because you're here. You're here this evening. You know, so you've invested some time, you've invested some money. There is a reason that you're here. And sadly, I'm not going to have time to have a private conversation with all of you to find out what that reason is, but certainly we can get some of that out through the group. And that's why the more you can put in the tasks in the group, sort of between tonight and tomorrow night's session, the more I will be able to tailor things to help you all as well, which I'd really like to do, because while I've got my tracks to run on, it is flexible.
All right.
We can be flexible with it. Oh, somebody's got some background noise. I don't know who that was, but if you could mute yourselves if there's stuff going on in your house. Okay, so we're going to crack on now. I have got lots of notes next to me, so if I'm looking to the side, it's not that I'm not paying attention to you lovely lot, it's just that I know I can tend to waffle or perhaps get a little bit off track. So I've got some notes here to keep me going. Just put your hand up if you have got the workbook printed off, just to give me an idea. Okay, cool. So it did work and it was printable, and you have, some of you have got it, some of you haven't. That's fine. So when I refer to a point in the workbook, I'll make sure I just read out what the question is or what the page topic is or anything that, for those that haven't. All right, so the first thing, if you want to write this down actually, so the number one thing in the workbook, if you haven't got it, it says, how would you describe your life to date? Don't do it right now, just write it down. Would you say you have lived life to the full and regularly achieve what you set out to, or do you let challenges get in the way? All right, so that's the number one thing in your workbook. So if you want to just jot that down, again, they are in the Facebook group, so pop in there, you know, tomorrow or whenever, and get that down if you haven't already. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about some of my story and some of the reason that I'm here and doing this with you this evening. I know some of you in the group know my story very well, so you can have a little nap if you want, if you don't want to hear it again. Some of you will not have heard any of this at all before, so or anything in between. But the bits I want to tell you are probably slightly different to what you've heard before. This is not just my normal, you know, testimonial that I do when I'm presenting normally to do with our business. So firstly, I want you to all imagine that you have written a book. Adam will be good at this because Adam's our resident author. And however old you are this coming year in 2022, just write that number down in front of you now. So however old you are this year, write that down. So I don't mind sharing, I am 54 this year. So this is my chapter 54 that I'm just starting now. So when I came up with the idea of this course, Your Best Year, I really mean that I fully intend to make my chapter 54 my best yet. Now, all of you are not only the hero in your story, you're also the author of that chapter, and you're also the narrator. Okay, so you do have the power to make that chapter what you want. And I don't say that lightly. I know life can be difficult, but life is difficult whether you take what it throws at you or whether you steer it. Okay, so, you know, you can design this. And I really believe, Lorraine, someone's in the waiting room, I think, sorry, thank you. I really do believe that it doesn't matter how old you are, you have the power to start and make this a good chapter. All right, so are you all with me on that? This is where I wanted to get your minds to go. Tonight is very much about the mindset behind making this your best year. Tonight is very much about mindset. It's very much about limiting beliefs and things like that. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the whole wheel of life and all the different parts of your life, because I really believe that to be successful in one, you have to be balanced in others. And that's where people sometimes go wrong. And then on the third night, we're really going to drill down on your business goal for 2022. All right. And we're going to talk strategies and not airy fairy stuff. We're going to talk about how to make it happen. Now, I know quite a lot of you in here are in Utility Warehouse, but there are quite a lot of you that aren't. I will make reference to that business a little bit, but it doesn't matter what business you are in. Okay, this stuff will work. Okay, and this will help you. So that's just to start. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about a few of my early chapters, very briefly, and particularly about chapter 53, which was last year. Because I think that, hi Sarah, hi, I've started waffling already, but you'll be able to catch up, or so far I've just been talking about the startings of things. So firstly, why am I here? Why am I doing this with you guys tonight? What has brought me to this point? Because I think it's quite interesting. And the first thing I would say is that in my chapter 16, when I left school, I became a coach, became a riding coach really early on, from the minute I left school. Basically, I was self-employed and I started teaching people and coaching people. And I absolutely love helping people do a little bit more than they thought they could. And, with horses, that was my life for 25 years. I was, coached loads and loads and loads of people. I think I was pretty good at it, pretty good at helping people and motivating people and giving them confidence, and really, really enjoyed it. I also, through that time, did lots of other things. I can't tell you what chapter this was. I think chapter 31, I set up a magazine from home, and I helped a lot of people with their marketing and advertising, all in the equestrian world, and went on to do lots of other businesses as well, which was all great. And then when I was 41, I think, 41, so chapter 41, was when I decided that things had to change in my life. I was at the time running myself ragged, working extremely long hours. I'd lost my passion and drive for the thing I was doing. I had a young child who I was desperately trying to work out how to be a mum, and I still haven't really worked it out. And that was quite a few years ago now, 2009. And I really just literally sat up one day, and this might be where you are now. This is why this story might be relevant. And I just thought, do you know what? Something has got to change. I can't go on like this. I can't carry on like this. I love parts of what I was doing, but I was exhausted. And that's when I joined Utility Warehouse as a partner. The main reason I joined Utility Warehouse as a partner was because I heard a story about somebody in the business who was earning £30,000 a month in passive income. And that just blew me away. And I was like, hang about, if they can do it, why can't I? So when I very first joined Utility Warehouse, my goal was to earn £10,000 a month in passive income. So I didn't go in for £100 a month or a couple of £100 a month. I was there, I want £10,000. Now, why £10,000? I don't know. But put your hands up if you think £10,000 a month coming in your bank would help you do whatever you wanted to do. Whether you were working or not. It's sort of quite a nice round figure, and it covers quite a lot of stuff. So anyway, I picked this figure, £10,000. And I totally understood that to do that, it was all about building a team and building the passive income. And pretty much, I'm not going to talk about the business. Some of you aren't in the business, and it's not about that. But pretty much what I did over the next 12 years was totally focused on building that passive income, which was about recruiting. It was about supporting. It was about coaching people and helping people. And I am very proud and pleased to say that I do have a very, very nice 4-figure monthly passive income as a result of all my activities. But last year, something changed. And so chapter 53, I got about halfway through the year, maybe a third of the way through the year, and just sort of had this feeling that I wanted to change something, that I wanted to do something a little bit different, that I wanted to really look at the bits that I love doing about that business, and I wanted to do more of that. And it came back to the coaching, the teaching, the training, the helping people do a little bit more than they thought they could. And I suddenly realized that it didn't have to be within my business. Does that make sense? That I could actually impact more people if I stepped a little bit outside of exactly what I was doing. I invested in a coach, I did a course, spent a lot of money, and realized that actually I could fast track the £10,000 a month as well, but doing something that I was absolutely passionate about. So in chapter 53, now Chantel's there. I know, Chantel, you're probably on a very early chapter, and there's a lot of you in here that aren't at chapter 53 yet. It doesn't matter what chapter you're on. The point is, you can, wherever you are, decide to make a difference. All right. And that's what this week is about. This week is about trying to help you overcome blocks and things that have stopped you to now, and also perhaps give you a different perspective on some stuff as well. Now, my goal is still very much to get to £10,000 a month in passive income with Utility Warehouse, and that's still on, on track. That's happening all the time. I absolutely love that business, but there are other things that you can do. And the interesting thing is, when I started to do things a little bit differently and make things a bit more strategic, which is what I've learned, and also to put different plans in place, guess which business gave me my most profitable month ever in 12 years? It was my Utility Warehouse business in November this year, even without me running around like a headless chicken as I had been for the last 12 years. So I've learned some stuff. I've learned some strategic stuff that's working. I've learned to put some plans in place, and I want to share that. All right. So I want to share that with you. And I want to really help you with all of that. So we are going to go into some slides now. Before I even start any further, has anyone got anything they'd like to ask or comment on what I've said so far, or shall I just keep going? Please do. Like I say, I can see the chat now, but I'm going to go into the slides now. Again, the slides are to help you with a bit of a visual and to obviously keep me on track as well. Now, that question 1 in your workbook, obviously now is not the time to do that because it's quite a thought-provoking thing, but this is a task for you, because this week will not be completed this week. This week will set some wheels in motion. It will set some stuff in motion in your head. It may feel uncomfortable. It may feel, there might be some things that you don't completely feel comfortable with. That's okay, because that means that you're thinking outside the box a bit, and all of that is fine. But if you can fill that page in at some point that says, how would you describe your life to date? Would you say you've lived life to the full and regularly achieve what you've set out to, or do you let challenges get in the way? Be really, really honest with yourself, okay, and answer that question. And it can actually be quite emotional, because you can actually realize that, no, you haven't quite, that there's a lot of stuff you haven't done that you thought you'd like to do. It depends how old you are. I think the later the chapter, perhaps the more emotional that stuff can be. But, life is too short, but there's still plenty of time for all of us. So that's the exciting thing. Okay, so I am going to go into the slides now. Hopefully, please behave, technology. Just give me a minute while I get it all up and running. I always have to move your faces around. Okay, can you see that slide all right, everybody? Thank you, Dave. I can see. I also have to tell you who I can see, so you know who's not allowed to fall asleep. So I can see Kim, Dave and Lorraine now. You're the only 3 I can see. You've got to stay in, stay with me, you 3, okay? I can scroll through other people's, oh, Dave's having a drink, that's fine, well done. So first of all, are you ready? Are you ready to make 2022 your best year ever? Yes. Because as I just said, you absolutely can. But don't forget, this time you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. I love that, because there's lots of stuff going on that will help you. So here we are, just a few little quotes to kick us off. I mentioned this one, if you want some things to change, you have to be willing to change some things. All right, so that's number 1, really. And I put that other quote up the other day, and somebody told me off and said they thought it was very cruel, because it was that one that says, you can't live the same year 75 times and call it a life, which is really a bit cutting. But if we're talking about making 2022 the best year, so if you're going to make it the best year, you're gonna have to change some things, otherwise why wasn't last year the best year? Okay, so if you want some things to change, you've got to change some things. And following on from that, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. I've always, that's been one of my classic things always. And so many people go through life on rinse and repeat and just expect something to fall out the sky and to make everything happen wonderfully. And sadly, that doesn't really happen. So, ask yourself, how many times have you set goals, New Year's resolutions, been excited about them for a short time, and then watch them slowly disappear because you've let yourself off the hook, or it hasn't happened, or whatever? And that bottom one there is, are you ready to be uncomfortable now to be very comfortable one day soon? Because you can't if you're going to change anything and you are in a certain chapter of your life, you know, as I said, things might not happen that easily. You're going to have to put some effort in. When I first joined UW back in 2009 in my chapter 41, you know, I was almost insane to take something else on at the time. You know, I would say almost insane was the right word, because I did not have capacity to do anything else, but I wanted the change more and didn't mind going through the pain. Okay, so, you know, if you want something badly enough, you will go through the pain to get it. If you don't want it badly enough, then you're kidding yourself, really. If you're saying it's a goal, but you're not prepared to push yourself through some uncomfortable stuff, it's not really a goal. It's just something you're telling yourself. It's lip service to yourself, just to sort of make yourself feel that you're doing something. Right, the top 10 reasons, or some of the top 10 reasons why people don't achieve goals. So again, this is in your workbook. If you want to sort of jot these down as we go through, if people want the slides, I can put the slides in the group as well for future reference. So we're just going to sort of talk about each of these things. And again, some of this will really resonate with you. Some of you will go, oh yeah, that's why I don't achieve my goals, or that's why I haven't in the past, or whatever. So the first one is previous experiences and life structures. So sometimes somebody's got some background noise. Would you mind muting yourself if you've got the telly on or whatever in the background? Because I can hear someone, but I can't see who it is. Thank you very, very much. Previous experiences and life structures. So this means, are you setting your goals based on what you've been told all your life is possible? Because that very often is the case. So this can be quite emotional, because you sort of have to go back to the beginning, go back to your first chapters. Chapter 1 to 6 in your life are so formative to how you are later on in life. So if your parents always said to you, oh, you know, you can't do that, you can't be Superman, you can't be Batman, you know, don't be ridiculous, or whatever. If there was voices in your head right from the beginning telling you couldn't do something, that is what I call by a life structure. Or if you know, financially things were hard up, or whatever happened in the beginning will probably be having an impact right now on how you set goals. So your previous experiences and life structures will be impacting what you believe is possible now. So even if you watch all the read all the self-development stuff, personal development, you know, you're a person that shares things, or you're a person that talks about all the time, anything's possible if you go for it. If that isn't really sitting true with your beliefs, that will be inhibiting your goal setting. So you might have to have a little look inside and say, why am I not setting goals that are bigger? Is it because really deep down, I don't believe that I can achieve them? So that's number one. So this
Celia, can I just add something to that?
Yes, please do, Adam. Yeah,
it's just sometimes it's not even to do with people's language and what they say, it's what you've seen. So when you've witnessed other people struggle through life, and you know, never getting a break, or you know, having periods of bad luck, or whatever it is, or just having a rubbish job and always just sort of struggling by, and it's never even spoken about. That's just something as a child that you don't understand. So it just sort of goes into your physical being. I know that's what happened a lot to me when I was younger.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily said that you couldn't achieve, but through what you witnessed,
perfect,
that told you that that was the way life was.
That's amazing, Adam. Thank you, because that's what I was trying to say, but really badly. No, that is so true, because it's about how you're brought up. And I didn't want to say it in that way, but where you're brought up, what you see, what you experience, what you know, absolutely. So that is what that means. So again, that's something that you may not have had control over. You may not realize that that's impacting you or has impacted you. Number 2, past failures. So this is when you have tried to achieve something yourself, but you didn't manage to, and it felt like a failure. Or the other massive one, of course, is setting a goal, telling people about it, and then you're not achieving it and worrying what they think of you. So in our last course, A Step Up to Success, we had a whole module on limiting beliefs. This is part of tonight, but the fear of other people's opinions is one of the biggest reasons that people don't do new things in their life, is because they're scared of other people laughing at them, rejecting them, or, you know, saying that they're stupid or whatever. Now, that is a real fear based on years and years and years ago, when for safety's sake, we had to be part of the tribe. And if you were pushed out of the tribe, were in danger. Okay, so it was life-threatening. So it is a real fear. It's a real thing. However, it's not real. It's not a real danger in our society today. So that is something you need to grab hold of and tell yourself it's not real. It's okay to be different. It's okay to go and follow what I want to follow. It's okay to do what I want to do. And it really doesn't matter what people think of me, because do you know how long people think about you or think about that thing? About 2 seconds. You know, it's like, it's not part of their world worrying about what you do. They don't care. They just care about themselves. You know, so it's a really, really stupid thing that stops us. Fear of action, fear of change. So this is, again, maybe feeling overwhelmed with life a little bit. And could I possibly fit anything else in? What if I did all that action and then nothing happened? You know, that is a real thing that stops people as well. It's like, what if I absolutely did get going and I did put all the activity in and I did make it, you know, really try and make a difference? What if I don't succeed? Now, the truth is, most people stop just before they're about to succeed. That's what happens in that situation. I don't know if anyone's read the book 3 Feet from Gold. If you haven't, I would jot it down. It's a very, very brilliant book. Can't remember who it's by, but I'll find it and Google it and we'll put it in the Facebook group or someone will find it. And that's about so many people getting within 3 foot of achieving whatever it is that they're trying to do and then giving up. And they've actually put most of the hard work in, but they won't keep going quite long enough. All right, so that is a real reason that people don't achieve their goals, is just because they give up. They give up. They've done most of the work and then they give up. Lack of confidence and setting tiny, weeny little goals that you know that you can achieve. You know, that's the opposite sort of thing of setting the big goal. Setting the tiny, weeny little goals that you know you can tick off your list and make yourself feel better. To build your confidence, that is okay. But this today is about living your best life, okay? Making this year the best and going all in. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that in a minute. So we want some tiny goals, we want some medium goals, and we want some big jaw-dropping goals, but don't just settle for the small ones, because that's rubbish. Unwilling to start procrastination. Procrastination is a biggie, I know, for lots of people. It's that, you know, making the list but never making the calls, tidying your desk, forever planning, forever organizing, doing all this stuff before actually taking action. And that really is very closely linked actually with most of the fears. It's most of the fears of failure, most of the fears of the rejection, the fears of what people will think. All of that stuff is really, really closely linked. So if you're not quite starting, it'll be because of fear, or because your mission, your goal, the thing that's driving you is not what's really driving you. You think that you want what you're going for, but if you're not picking up the phone, if you're not making things happen, if you're not taking action, it's because the reason you're telling yourself you're doing it isn't actually big enough. It isn't really pulling you. Because if you really know what you want, you will just jump out of bed and do it, and you won't have to think about it. So that's another one to think about as well. Fear of your own feelings and emotions. So again, that will be tied in very much with if you have, I've just got to check my notes, actually, I'm waffling away, I think I'm all right. That's very much if you have set yourselves goals in the past and then, you know, they haven't gone well, and you know that it makes you feel uncomfortable and you feel frustrated and you feel almost, in some ways, someone's just joining now, Lorraine, I expect they thought it was a 7:30 start. You also, you know, you feel frustrated, uncomfortable, despondent. In fact, you feel so bad about not achieving it that you've just decided there's no point setting the goal at all, because the despondent feeling I get when I don't achieve it is too overwhelming. And a good example of that, actually, I was talking to somebody, I won't mention their name, about incentives. So as part of Utility Warehouse, if you're in that business, we have a lot of incentives, and we have holiday incentives regularly. And somebody told me very recently that they actually almost willingly drop out of the holiday promotion in month 1 so that they don't put pressure on themselves the rest of the time to go on and achieve the goal. And so that is a typical one where you're letting yourself off the hook. You think you're letting yourself off the hook when actually you're just doing yourself massive damage for future plans, but I can understand it. An ego set goal, what that means is the reason that goal won't necessarily be achieved is that's when you're setting a goal just to prove an achievement, but the goal itself doesn't really matter to you. So that could be a promotion goal. So if you said, you know, I really want to get to the next level in the business, whether that's senior team leader or whatever, but you're setting it really because you think you should be at that level. You think that, you know, it'll make you feel good around other people, but it doesn't actually mean enough to you. That, you know, you haven't thought through what it actually means to you. That'll be one reason that you don't go for it. Going for gold, this is an interesting one. And this is, I did a lot of reading about this, and being a competitive person in the past, competing for many years on the horses, I really understood this. So going for gold is when you're training and going for what you perceive to be the number one position, and you're not happy unless you get to number one, which means that you feel like you're trying to prove that you're better than everyone else. Now, what we all know, most of us in this group, is that it's not about competing with anyone else. You know, it really isn't about that. And that's really important that you don't do that. So if you are just trying to be slightly better tomorrow than you are today as a person, you're winning. You're absolutely winning. And you are going to be your own gold medalist. So it's not about beating other people. It's not about comparing yourself to other people, because actually achieving the gold is very short-lived, because it's very soon someone is going to come over and overtake you, or someone's going to come and win it next time. You're not going to get gold every time. And that actually, as a goal setting thing, doesn't work at all. Not long term, it doesn't. Comfort zones. We are more used and we're more comfortable with failure than we are with success as human beings. We like being average. We're almost sort of conditioned to not put your head above the crowd, to not stand out, to not be the one that's different. So it is a comfort zone of being average, and a comfort zone of almost accepting failure. And the last one here is lack of clarity. You know, lack of clarity on what do you really want. Some people say, oh, I want so many things, I don't know where to start. That's one sort of thought. Or it could just be that you haven't really worked it out. You haven't worked out what you want in the long term. So therefore, it's quite difficult to work out what you want in the medium term. And therefore, it's quite difficult to work out what you want in the short term. However, we all know that any step you make in the right direction is a good step to take. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow, actually, because when we talk about the whole wheel of life and all the different parts of our life that we are going to be thinking about and addressing, it doesn't have to be massive changes. You know, if you're talking about your health, it could be just drink an extra pint of water a day. You know, it doesn't have to be huge things, but it has to be something that's just taking you a little bit closer. So I hope all that makes sense. So that was basically in the workbook there, just to write down your top 10. I think that was numbers 3 and 4. Now, this is getting a little bit deeper now. Hang on, what words do we want? Do we want to go on to the next slide? Yeah. You know, how can you be a failure if you give something everything you've got? You know, if you really give stuff your best shot, do you think that's going to mean that you're a failure? And this is where the daily affirmations come in. I've been thinking a lot about the law of attraction, because I'm a great believer in the law of attraction, but the law of attraction plus massive action is what I think works. So yes, it is having all the positive thoughts and, you know, thinking about all the things that you want and focusing on positivity. Absolutely it is. But it's also about taking massive action. So just for number 3 on that, on your workbook, so for those that haven't got a workbook, number 3 is, out of those 10 we've just talked about, which of those resonates most with you? And would you say has stopped you so far? Obviously, it might not just be one, but out of all the things we've just covered, could be all of them. Just jot some stuff down while it's fresh in your mind now. Just jot a few things down. What do you think are the main reasons that you haven't gone, you know, closer to your goals than you have so far? Okay, and as I said at the beginning, this is not just now about setting goals. It is, but it's about living life with intention, because it's about thinking, how do you want your life to be? How do you want to feel? what is your mission? What's your vision? What's your mission? You need, if you're going to bring massive energy into your life and attract the stuff you want, you need to know these things. And you may not know this tonight. It might not be something that leaps at you, but in order to really achieve stuff, to make things happen, to be the sort of person that people are attracted to, they want to hang out with, it's all about energy. It's about your energy. And you won't have the right energy if you really don't have any sort of mission or vision. So I always, I've got here on the workbook, what words would you like on your tombstone? I'm sorry to get morbid. I don't know, that sounds a bit morbid, doesn't it? But how would you like to be remembered by anybody that you came into contact with? So I just wrote a little thing down here. Just two examples, I suppose. Oh, Celia was really nice, had a nice life and was good fun. Or Celia was an incredible, energetic leader. She really gave life her very best shot and had a positive impact on thousands of people. Okay, so that, that's the difference, because having energy and attracting good stuff and wanting things and helping people and all of that has a massive ripple effect. So all of you and all of us collectively, I think there's about 38 people or something in this group this week, that's 38 people that every day can impact at least 38 more people. Does that make sense? And this is about this. It's about sending good energy out. It's about really trying to live your best life by feeling that you are having a good impact, that you are doing good stuff, that you are working towards your goals, but not in a selfish way. And that will definitely help you achieve things. Okay, and then we're going to get onto this bit, I think is the next slide, which is quite fun. So your mission, your life mission, I've got to move this bar, sorry. And that means I won't be able to move the slides for a minute, but I've got to get that out of the way. Oh, I've done it again. Hang on. Hang on. Technology. The Zoom bar is right in my way. There we are. So your life mission needs to be so powerful you leap out of bed every day so you can work towards it. So this is your big jaw-dropping, how do I want to be known? What do I want to do with my life? This is big stuff. This is probably not what you thought we'd be talking about maybe this week. This is massive stuff. And it is really important. But I love this now, this bit now. So who is in charge of your life right now? So who's running the show at the moment when it comes to you and your mindset? Is it your inner child? So what does that mean? So the inner child is still the person whining that life isn't fair, that life is hard, that you need everybody else to do everything for you. Nobody has it as hard as you. You've had the hardest life ever. People have been bad to you in the past. People have let you down. Why should you do anything? Because nobody will do it back for you. You give up your life for everybody else and nobody gives you stuff back. So that's the inner child. So how many of you are letting the inner child have a bit of an impact on what you're doing right now? Is it the negative part of your brain? That one that says, I'm all right here, really, can't really be bothered. No point trying to do anything else really, because it doesn't really work. So I'm just going to be happy sitting here and moaning. I'm going to moan about everybody else. I'm going to moan about what I haven't got. And I'm just going to let that moaning person, is a bit like the whiny inner child, but this is more of a negative, almost like the grumpy old negative man, I suppose, on the other shoulder. Sorry to say man for the men in here. It could be a grumpy old woman, sort of sitting on your shoulder saying, what's the point? Is it the lazy one? Is it the lazy person in you just saying, yeah, I reckon I could have loads more, but I just can't be bothered. I'm just going to watch Netflix again. And I'm just going to not bother touching my business today. I'm just going to make a cake or something, or whatever it is. The lazy part of us will definitely be there. Or is it the scared one? Are you letting your scared brain stop you from getting to where you want? So you'll all recognize that. Again, if you want to write down which of those, which of those you think might be ruling the roost at the moment a little bit. That's quite interesting, definitely. So I'm just finding my book. Yeah, that's fine. So think about that. When you've done, what words are you going to have on your tombstone? Think about who's who's running your life right now. I've said about the mission statement there. So mission statement, what are you going to tell yourself every day from now about how you want to live your life? That was number 5 in the workbook. So again, I think that's something I would love to see you posting some of this stuff, you know, in the Facebook group. If you've had some thoughts about it, please do, because I think it'd be great to get it written down, great to get it down on paper. But the point is, you are all worth more. You know, you are all worth more, and you actually all think you're worth more, otherwise you wouldn't be here this evening. So that's really cool as well that you are here this evening. Right, just bear with me. So there we are. I put that at the top there about the law of attraction plus massive action will bring you success, abundance, joy, energy, accomplishments, and pride. And this is interesting as well. Interesting question to answer is, would you set jaw-dropping massive goals for yourself if you truly believed you could achieve them if you followed a simple strategy and became consistent? Because lack of belief in yourself is obviously going to be another thing that stops you. You know, I'll set the goal, but am I able to do it? And there we are. That's what I said at the beginning about being the author, narrator, and the hero in your next chapter. We could get Adam to write all our chapters for us. We could give him the idea, get him to write it all down.
I do you a good discount.
2 chapter 55s though.
Yeah. Okay, I know that that's lots of stuff to think about there. Again, none of this is quick fix stuff, but I think it is about truly recognizing where you are right now. You know, that's the important thing, really trying to understand what's stopping you to this point, and then finding what is going to be big enough to draw you and drive you through all those obstacles. Because if you haven't got that, I know we talk about your why and we talk about where you want to go on holiday and all that, but I believe it's much bigger than that. You know, the big thing is about your intention to live your life. It's about your intention to be remembered. It's about your intention to have impact on people or your kids or your family or whatever it is you want to do. That's bigger than just saying, I want to live in a nice house. It actually is bigger than that. All that nice house and all the other stuff is going to come along the way if you really truly find out what drives you. And if you can get that, then that's going to be really, really useful. Okay, so 5 things to focus on. So this is just the last page in the workbook for tonight. It just says list the 5 things you're going to focus on. I can't believe how quickly that's gone actually. From now on. So list the 5 things you're going to focus on from now on. Now I've just got 5 suggestions here. You will have different things going around your head just from what we've talked about so far this evening, but I've just written a few things which might be helpful to you. So firstly, stop just setting goals, but start setting an intention of how you want to live the rest of your life. Because it's not about the destination, it is about the journey. And if you can work that out, you will find you're getting there a lot quicker than you think, because there are so many tiny things you can start to put in place, which will make you feel like you're achieving. And if you start to feel like you're achieving, you will stop beating yourself up about stuff, you'll start enjoying the journey even more, and it's a circle, and you'll start doing more. All right, so the worst thing you can say is, I want to, let's say in utility warehouse, I want to be senior group leader. And it looks so far in the distance that, you know, sometimes the daily actions don't seem very consequential. But if you were to say to yourself, I want to be a leader where I'm impacting loads of people, you know, I'm excited to get out of bed in the morning, I want, you know, blah, 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 then you might find that those small actions daily are easier to do. Number 2, and again, this might not be your thing, but become the person that everyone wants to be around. Ooze positivity, energy, and focus. People do want to hang out with people that make them feel good. So be the person that makes everybody feel good. And whatever it is you want to do in life and business, it will come to you more readily. Opportunities and doors will open everywhere if you start to really consider that one thing. I'm not saying change your personality, however you are, you're all wonderful, beautiful people. You don't have to change, but just think about the impact you have on other people when you're with them. And are you oozing positivity, or are you being a bit negative sometimes? Are you making them feel better by being with you, or are you making them feel worse? You know, and that a lot of that's to do with energy. Look in the mirror every day and tell yourself you're bloody awesome. You know, get up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, I've got this today because I am bloody awesome and I'm going to smash it. And it's affirmations. We've talked again on the other course, we talked a lot about affirmations and drowning out the negative self-talk. But sometimes it's as simple as just that. Just say, do you know what? I'm bloody awesome. I'm going to do this today. I'm going to smash this today. And it just sets the tone for the day. And be really honest with yourself about what you love to do. In that, be really honest with yourself. Is what you're currently doing to say get you to this place you want to be? Are you passionate enough about it? Do you really love it? If you love some bits of it and not other bits, then that's fine. You can still make it work. For example, I quite like signing up customers with Utility Warehouse. I get a bit of a buzz out of it. It's okay. I love coaching and training people. It's a different thing. And that's when I made the choice that to make my now money, I am still signing up customers. I always will. But I didn't want to be doing 4 or 5 appointments a day signing up customers. I would rather be doing coaching conversations. I'd rather be helping people change their life. And I'd rather be helping people with the business and all that sort of stuff. So that's just little decisions. Because if you don't love it, are you going to do enough of it to change what you need to change? That's the point, isn't it? You know, life is too short to be forcing yourself to do a job in any shape or form that you don't really enjoy. Never ever give up on number 5. I've put never ever give up on yourself and settle for ordinary, because you are put on this world to make a difference, and you can be extraordinary and you can lead an extraordinary life. So you don't have to settle for ordinary. That's what I think anyway. And I think that's the same, you know, absolutely anybody. We hear incredible stories, don't we, of people that have come from all backgrounds. And, you know, Adam was saying about backgrounds and people that have had no opportunity and been surrounded, you know, with such huge negativity and yet still managed to be absolute heroes and superstars. And, you know, people do it all the time. So anyone can break from where they are now to where they want to be. And there we are. You have the power to rewrite your story at any time. Just start where you are and get to where you want. Right, let me come out the screen share. So, are you all still awake? I hope you've got some stuff written down. I hope you find some of that interesting. It's just looking at things a little bit differently, isn't it? And I just wanted to set the scene with all that before we go into goal setting. Because, you know, setting a goal, we're going to help you set the goal, break it down, you know, work it right down to a daily method of operation. And we can do all of that. But if you can just firstly recognize what stopped you in the past and what's really stopped you, be honest, because people might say it's lack of time or it's onto the Facebook group, Kirsten. Okay, can you send me a friend request if we're not friends already, or send me a messenger and I'll find you on Facebook and then I can invite you. Is that all right?
Okay, yeah, we'll do. Thanks.
I think I tried to find you on Facebook and I couldn't find you actually, so I was hoping that you saw the link. The emails I sent out, that link was only valid for 48 hours or something, so if you didn't click on it in time it would have expired, so that's probably what that is.
Okay, thanks.
Good, lovely, do that. Okay, good. So that wasn't bad actually. That's we're to 9 minutes too. That's pretty good, because I didn't have any idea how long that was going to take, but that was pretty good. So has anybody got any questions? There's loads in the chat actually. Let me go into the chat.
I found that really helpful, Celia. Really, really helpful. And I've got some honest thinking and honest chatting to myself to do.
Oh, I know. It can be, like I say, it can be uncomfortable to be comfortable, but you know.
Yeah, I don't know where the first 62 chapters went, but chapter 63 is going to be different.
Yay! That's awesome. That's made my night. That's fine. Brilliant. 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 Well done. Absolutely. So Kim, I'm just looking through the chat. Obviously, some of you are putting this out. So Kim's put she likes the chapters. I like the chapters. I think that's really good, isn't it? Because it's sort of like gives you the opportunity to write this chapter, doesn't it? And, you know, life's going to get in the way. Let's face it. Things are going to come up that we didn't expect. That's all makes it more interesting. A book would be very boring, wouldn't it, if it was all just plain sailing and there weren't the little chinks and stuff that comes through. Thank you. Adam found 3 feet from gold. Greg Reed. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Oh, there's 2, is there? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, so it's got 2 authors, that's fine. The only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday. Love that. Absolutely brilliant. And then a few people were saying what child is running the show. So I quite like that as well. Interesting when you think about that, isn't it? Mixture of inner child and and scared. How do you find your big driving force? I think that comes down to finding what you really want to change. It is about, isn't it, working out or how you'd like to be remembered. I think that's a good way of putting it. Because
Celia, I've mentioned this before about the chimp paradox, and I'll always talk about, because I used to use phrases like inner child quite a lot, but really I've kind of moved away from that. But the thing about the chimp paradox and learning about the side of your parts of your brain who's in control, whether, you know, you could think about your heart, your spirit, or whatever, but if you want to just stick with science, your chimp doesn't like failure, and it doesn't want you to look like an idiot.
Yeah.
So it will tell you things to put you off.
Yeah.
And there, when you realize that you've got an overactive chimp who is telling you lots of negative things all the time, it's because the chimp is scared and it's worried, because it doesn't know what's going to happen, because you haven't got the answers to everything.
That's good.
And that's the leap of faith.
Yeah.
That is important. But you also got to coach your chimp and say, listen, this is what we're going to do. And it's the tiny steps that help the chimp get muted.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant, because it is, I mean, you know, I'm talking about this big impactful goal, but as I just said, it's what you're going to do tomorrow, isn't it? You know, what you're going to do now, what you're going to do tomorrow to just work towards that. And that's when we look at tomorrow, when we look at all the different parts of your life, because it does all, I mean, you know, this is supposed to be, or is it supposed to be, this could be whatever you want it to be this week, but I suppose the goal, most of you are here because you want to get more from your business, I would imagine. That's why most of you have come on this week. And that's why on day 3, I'm going to look very much at the business goal. But the business goal is so interconnected with all the other bits of your life that if you don't look at that and address it all, your business goal, I believe, will be limited. Because you need to understand where your energy is going, and you need to really understand what drives you as well. And that will become more apparent when you start prioritizing the wheel of life, which is what we're going to do tomorrow, which is really awesome. Okay, has anybody got any questions or comments or anything? You're all just dumbstruck.
I've got another one, Celia, if everyone's being quiet.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what you've mentioned before about like your personal health goals, because as far as I'm concerned, you know, a lot of these things, it's all worth nothing if we're unwell.
Yeah.
You know, if we haven't got not just good mental health, but, you know, like physical health as well. So one thing that I'm doing, I'm finally getting involved in this Wim Hof breathing activities and things like that, you know, because it's not all about going to the gym, it's about learning other things. I'm just wondering, what have you got a goal for yourself for this year that's not related to riding or anything like that?
Interesting you should say that. I am talking about health as our first wheel of the life essay, but I've actually, looks like I've got to have an operation on my spine very soon, which I didn't know about. So that's been a bit of a curveball the last week or so, which has slightly changed what I would say my health goals are for this year. But I'll tell you more about that when I know more about it, because I don't really know what's going on with that. But otherwise, my goal is and has started cold showers, because this is right. Yes, I was having cold showers and cold baths a lot, cold water therapy, which is amazing, makes you feel amazing. Definitely drink more water, drink less wine, eat healthier. I agree with you 100%, Adam, and I actually kick off with that tomorrow, is that if you haven't got your health, what is the point in any of this? And if you want to have more energy, and energy attracts good stuff, then you do really need to look after yourself as well, don't you? So, you know, that is absolutely key.
There's a new Audible that I've listened to recently. Is called Breath by someone called James Astor, Breath. And he calls it the missing pillar in health. And it's related to everyone who in the Western civilization who are mouth breathers, which both my children are.
Yeah.
And I have been for periods in my life, and it's absolutely blown my mind. It's like the next Chimp Paradox was 8 years ago or something, and now this is the new one. Now
who's it by, Adam? Breath?
James Astor.
Right.
Called Breath or
I better
Breathe.
listen to that before tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, it's got so many implications to do with our health in Western civilization. It's been going on for a long, long time. And, you know, I won't go into it too much, but if you ever find yourself breathing through your mouth, just try and stop and breathe through your nose.
Brilliant. I was really thinking, is everyone thinking about where they're breathing now? Yeah.
And it's okay to also not breathe, you know, sort of like to hold your breath and things like that. It's a fantastic listen. And I'm not a big fan of reading non-fiction personally, so Audible's amazing for me, and you can put it on while you're cooking and getting on with other things in your life and listen to it several times and things like that. It's great.
Amazing. Everyone's talking about snoring now and having cold and stuff. Yeah. No, it's good. Often forget to breathe. I know. No, it's brilliant. Right. Well, that's on my list now. So thank you very much. And that's what this group is all about as well. So if any of you, please do share, you know, books, anything on any of the mindset goal setting, anything we've talked about tonight, that's on my list now to listen to. That's what this is all about. It's about sharing. I definitely haven't got all the answers. I'm just going to prod you a little bit and poke you and hope that you find the answers for yourselves, because that's what this is all about. Brilliant. Okay, guys.
I've got a dash now because I've got.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine, Dave. No problem. I am going to wrap it up now. Anyway, look at that. Bang on, pretty much bang on 8 o'clock. So that's pretty cool. Well done, Bentley's found it already. So see you all here again tomorrow night. Again, if you can't be here for any reason, I will get the recordings up in the group ASAP. Make sure you are in the Facebook group, because that's where the recordings will be. I will attempt to email them out as well. So I think it's only Kirsten that isn't so far. I think everyone else is so far, and Nikki. Got to sort that out. Brilliant. All right, have a lovely evening. Sleep well, and I'll see you all tomorrow. All right, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.